We've got a few updates in relation to the blasphemous event that took place during the Olympic Open ceremonies. The Vatican has come out and given a response, as well as some backpedaling from some of the people involved in the ceremony. And Snoop Dogg has come out and given his explanation to his Baphomet goat necklace that he's wearing. So there's quite a few things going on. We'll look into all this right now. So the Vatican finally responds to Olympics Last Supper controversy. Here we see the event's creative director denied that his scene, it was referenced to the painting. However, an Olympic spokesperson apologized to those offended, and another later admitted to the reference. I mean, it's very clear to see that's just not a coincidence. They were acting like it. The person in the middle had the halo just like Jesus did. Very clearly they did that. They're just coming out and backpedaling like they do. The Vatican Saturday said that the performance showed a lack of respect for others. Here's the quote from the Vatican. It says, "The Holy See was saddened by certain scenes at the opening ceremonies, Paris Olympic Games, and cannot but join the voices raised in recent days to deplore the offense done to many Christians and believers of other religions. At a prestigious event where the whole world comes together to share common values, there should be no illusions ridiculing the religious convictions of many people. The freedom of expression, which is clearly not called into question here, is limited by respect for others." And that's really the truth of it. You know, we believe in free speech, free expression. These are things that matter, but what are they doing at a game ceremony where people come together to watch sports, mocking Christianity, and even promoting stuff like the drag stuff? That has nothing to do with playing sports. We've got kids and people all around the world, lots of different people who have no desire to partake in anything like that, watching this opening ceremony, and that's what they come out and do. It's just going to show really the state of the world. The Bible says that as we continue on, things are going to fall away. People are going to stop having compassion for one another. The things that are evil will be called good, and the things that are good will be called evil. That's clearly what we have going on here. Now, the Vatican came out and they showed their concerns for what took place, which is good, but it's very important to point out that the trajectory of the Vatican and what's been going on lately has not been good. They've been very clearly promoting the things that were displayed at the opening ceremonies. I mean, if it wasn't a mocking of the Last Supper, everything else going on there is something that lately they've been condoning. Here's what, this happened last year. This is the big news. The Vatican's doctrinal office has officially declared it's possible for Catholic priests to bless same-sex unions and divorced and remarried couples under the condition that the blessings do not send mixed messages about the Church's teachings on sacramental marriage and do not occur within a liturgical celebration. So it's really hard to understand how it wouldn't send mixed messages in any form whatsoever when you have what the Bible clearly says, marriage is between a man and a woman. So when a priest comes in and blesses a same-sex union, how is that in itself not sending a mixed message? So I just wanted to point out that the Vatican, while it's good they come out and they don't condone what's going on here with the Last Supper mocking, the trajectory of what they've been supporting lately is leading in the direction where they're going to come out and say, well, it was a nice display of art. As long as it doesn't send mixed messages, then it's okay. Very sad to see. Now, I want to reference here as well as to the blue guy who is Dionysus. So we saw this article has come out saying that the Olympic star, the naked blue man, breaks the silence following heavy criticism over appalling video. I saw articles that said that he says he's sorry. He does not say he's sorry when you come within the article and you read what he actually has to say. He says here, wouldn't it be boring it wouldn't be fun if there were no controversy. Wouldn't it be boring if everyone agreed on this planet? And that he was proud. He said he was proud of his performance. He said, I suffered a lot, but I loved it. I'm proud. It's my culture. We're full of different people and everyone lives their own way and above all has the right to do so. I loved doing it. So what's important to point out is that this person is representing Dionysus, which is a false god, the god of winemaking, orchards, fruit, vegetation, fertility, festibility, insanity, ritual madness, religious ecstasy, and theater. So it's a false god on display. Doesn't really matter if that's your culture. It's just we know exactly what the Bible says about false gods and promoting these types of things. And it just goes back to this, what's going on in the world, falling away from the truth and promoting the things that are evil as good, like promoting the god of wine drinking and religious ecstasy and orgies and stuff like that is not a good thing to be promoting at a sporting event with kids. All this stuff is just, it's insanity. It really is. It's very clear to see that the world is falling away from the truth and turning towards wickedness. Now, of course, the Olympic lady came out, one of the ladies in charge for the committee, a spokesperson came out and said, well, we're sorry that this offended people. If it offended people, we didn't mean it to. We didn't mean for it to be this or that. Other people have come out and said it was a representation of the Last Supper. If it wasn't, why would they have come out and apologized for that? Otherwise, they would have just come out and said, oh no, that wasn't it. That was just how we set it up. It just kind of looks like that. Isn't it kind of weird? They come out and apologize when they had all this backlash, and that's because they know that's exactly what they did. So the IOC, they made a statement, says that they've taken note and welcomes the clarification given by the Paris 2024 organizing committee regarding the opening ceremony in the daily press briefing. The organizing committee said that there was never any intention to show disrespect towards any religious group or belief. They reiterated that their intention within the opening ceremony was always to celebrate community and tolerance. The organizing committee also said that if anyone was offended by certain scenes, this was completely unintentional and they were sorry. So this is what we're going to see more and more of as we head into the uncertain times of the future and eventually to the final prophecies being fulfilled in the Bible. We're going to see tolerance being what is promoted as how to oppress Christian values. We've already seen that is very clear to see, and that's only going to continue. And what does that mean eventually? It eventually means that everybody will look at Christians and say Christians are the one who are not supporting everybody. They're the ones who aren't being tolerant, leading to what in Revelation tells us that Christians will be beheaded for following Jesus and for standing up for the truth of the Bible. And why will that be? Because everyone will be so convicted and so just trusting in following truly the Antichrist and his false teachings and these Antichrist teachings of false unity that will be spreading around the world, that when people come out and say anything different, like, well, actually, no, Jesus is Lord, he's the only way to heaven, that will lead to people getting their heads cut off. The book of Revelation tells us this. And so it's important for us to stand up and to have the outcries, because we don't know when the end will be, and hopefully it's not for a long time. But until then, we need to stand up for what's true, because it's going to continue on in that direction until it comes to a day when people will literally be killing Christians for not being tolerant. Now, I saw this also and wanted to reference this. I talked about this on my live stream on my other channel, how Snoop Dogg was wearing this necklace that looks very similar to a Baphomet, which is like the trans goat god of the occult. And here he comes out and says that that's not what it is. He's the goat rapper, greatest of all time rapper, and that's what this is. He says a few cuss words in this video, so skip about a minute if you don't want to hear that, but this is his explanation to what this is. Then we'll look at what the Bible has to say about goats.
I don't know what y'all thought this was, but this is the goat. I had this made because somebody told me I was the goat, so I wanted to make me a goat chain. All that other shit y'all talking about, I don't know what y'all talking about, but this is the goat, greatest of all time.
I want to cut it off there before he goes on and continues to say some more cuss words and things along these lines, but that's pretty much what he's saying. He says that he's the greatest of all time rapper. That's why he wears the goat. But it is suspicious, because when you look at what the Bible says about goats, it's a specific reference to people who don't follow God. In Matthew 25:31-33, where the Son of Man comes, when the Son of Man comes in his glory and all the holy angels with him, then he will sit on the throne of his glory. All the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate them one from another, as a shepherd divides his sheep from the goats. And he will set the sheep on his right hand, those who follow Jesus, but the goats on the left, those who do not. So when we see these different rappers and people prominent in society wearing goats and stuff like that, well, of course, when people come out and say, look, he's wearing the Baphomet, and everyone comes out and talks about it, well, they do exactly what the people at the Olympic Committee do. They come out and say, they backpedal. I'm not trying to do we're not doing the Last Supper. We don't want to offend anybody. I'm not wearing the Baphomet. It's just a goat because I'm a good rapper. He might be telling the truth, but you have to consider people just go back on what they're saying to make them seem okay in the eyes of people, so they can, if they're deceivers, continue to deceive, continue to be in the public eye, following the Baphomet in real life and not promoting what is right and good, because that's what they do. So you got to be aware of that. And Matthew 7:16-20 is a good explanation for how we can know if these people are telling the truth or not. Because he might be telling the truth about this whole thing, but then we need to look at the rest of the fruit of his lives and see, is this someone who we should be listening to, someone we should be following? Matthew 7:16-20. You will know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes from thorn bushes or figs from thistles? Even so, every good tree bears good fruit, but a bad tree bears bad fruit. A good tree cannot bear bad fruit, nor can a bad tree bear good fruit. Every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. Therefore, by their fruits you will know them. So that's really what it comes down to at the end of the day when we're looking at these different things going on in the world. The Vatican, the Olympic ceremonies, Snoop Dogg, and these different rappers. We can look at one instance and say something like, well, obviously in this case, very clear representation of the Last Supper. But you can look at the rest of their fruits. What else is going on? If this was just a picture of maybe celebrities like that, people might say, well, maybe it wasn't meant to be the Last Supper, but it's specifically people in drag mocking the Last Supper with the head, with the thing on the person's head, like you would see on a priest or on a picture of Jesus. Look at their fruits. When you look at the Vatican and the other things that they're doing, promoting, like I mentioned, blessing same-sex marriage, look at their fruits. When you look at Snoop Dogg and the things he promotes, drugs, gang violence, a lot of stuff outside of marriage you're not supposed to do, you'll know them by their fruits. So when it comes down to anything you're trying to evaluate at the end of the day, that's what to pay attention to. Trust the Bible, trust God, evaluate people's fruits, make the decisions off of that. Jesus is King. Thanks for watching. God bless.